Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're opening up the books for another completely transparent, unfiltered look into the realities of algorithmic trading. We're diving into Week 27, Episode 9 of the GoldMining Swissie USDCHF Recovery Series. If you've been following along with us, you know exactly how we do things here. We analyze the raw data, the real market conditions, and the unvarnished truth of systematic trading. So grab your notebooks because this week, well, it offers an absolute masterclass in market discipline.
Okay, let's just dive right into this fascinating anomaly. Zero. A big, round zero. That is the exact number of trades executed by the system this entire week. Now, to the untrained eye, seeing a zero might look like a broken system, right? Or maybe a huge missed opportunity. But in the world of professional algorithmic trading, zero is actually an incredibly powerful demonstration of discipline.
I really want to frame this entire explainer around one core philosophy. Patience is also a trade. Doing absolutely nothing, literally just sitting on your hands and protecting your capital during periods of high uncertainty, that's an active, highly strategic decision. It is the ultimate defense mechanism of a well-programmed trading robot.
Section 1, Week 27, Strategic Inactivity.
When we review the overarching summary for the week, the numbers tell a very specific story. Weekly gain, 0%. Weekly profit, 0 cents. Weekly drawdown, just a negligible 0.43%, based entirely on holding costs. I want to emphasize right out of the gate that this inactivity was not human intervention. No one pulled the plug or manually paused the expert advisor. This was the intentional, purely mathematical result of the strategy's strict trading rules, evaluating the market and simply saying no.
Now, notice the stark emptiness of the History Data tab in the MetaTrader 5 terminal. For a lot of retail traders, an empty History tab causes serious anxiety. But honestly, it's beautiful visual proof that the expert advisor didn't flinch. It didn't force a setup, it didn't guess, it simply waited.
And just to really hammer the point home, we have absolute zeros across the board on the MT5 report. Zero gross profit, zero gross loss, zero trades for the entire week. The system perfectly filtered out every single marginal setup that the market threw at it over a 5-day period.
Section 2, Lifetime Account Recovery Journey. Here on The Explainer, we practice radical transparency. So, looking at the lifetime report, we have to directly address the elephant in the room, the historical maximum drawdown of 65.44% and the current lifetime growth sitting at negative 17.69%. This is the gritty reality of the recovery journey. The system took a massive hit earlier in the year, and that completely shifted its operational parameters moving forward.
The crucial takeaway here is illustrated by the gap between the account balance and the equity. After that incredibly steep drop back in April, our current phase is entirely focused on account stabilization. The algorithm isn't trying to force an aggressive, risky V-shaped recovery. Instead, it's methodically protecting what remains, slowly navigating the shifting market structure.
And the lifetime data brilliantly illustrates how the account is managing the climb out of its deepest valley. Notice how the drawdown spiked heavily in the past, but has since retreated and completely leveled off, while the growth is taking it one steady step at a time. It's a marathon, not a sprint, right? Every single trade right now must have the absolute highest statistical probability, which perfectly brings us back to why Week 27 had 0 trades.
Section 3, Volatility versus System Rules.
Well, it was a heavy week for fundamental news. The market got absolutely hit with U.S. non-farm payrolls data, shifting Federal Reserve rate expectations, new Swiss inflation figures, and wild swings in overall global risk sentiment. These catalysts caused massive turbulence across the currency markets. It was basically a perfect trap for emotional, discretionary traders who tend to confuse movement with actual opportunity. Just looking at the chaotic M15 price action for the US dollar against the Swiss franc, we see a massive, sharp plunge down to the 0.80329 level, which was then followed by choppy, totally directionless consolidation. The market was moving, yes, absolutely, but volatility alone does not justify an entry. Despite these massive price swings, the mathematical probability just never perfectly aligned with the system's predefined recovery rules, so it simply let the chaos pass.
Section 4, The Psychology of Patience. The very definition of systematic trading is something we need to ingrain in our minds. It's the strict adherence to predefined entry conditions. It's the conscious prioritization of capital protection over the emotional impulse to trade market noise.
I mean, keeping your capital safe and dry during a chaotic, fundamentally driven week is vastly more valuable than rolling the dice on a marginal setup just to feel like you're participating.
It really comes down to the divide between amateurs and professionals. An amateur feels this overwhelming psychological pressure to always be in the market. Like if their screen is blank, they feel like they're failing. A professional, however, or a well-coded professional algorithm, has the discipline to sit quietly on the sidelines for days or even weeks until the math unequivocally works in their favor.
Section 5. The long-term vision.
Remember, we are documenting a multi-year journey here. Looking at a recovery timeline, we had the initial growth in late 2025, that major drawdown event in Q2 of 2026, and our current state of stabilization and heavy filtering. The future goal is the long-term road to $100. Because this is a marathon measured in months and years, every single documented week is a vital piece of the complete record, especially the weeks where the algorithm teaches us the immense value of restraint.
Real accounts, real risk, real progression. We don't hide the drawdowns, and we definitely don't apologize for a week of zero trades. It forces us to ask a pretty critical question as we wrap up this explainer. In a market practically designed to bait you into making mistakes, could mastering the art of doing absolutely nothing be the most critical skill for a trader's ultimate survival? Keep that in mind the next time you feel the urge to force a trade. I'll see you in the next explainer.